I was sitting up, holding my hand in my hands. I was in so much pain. The nurse said I'd passed out at school and had been sent here. She literally said that, not that I was sent to a hospital. I was sent here. The lights blinded me as I noticed a doctor walking through the door. I don't know how I knew he was a doctor. I guess only from the white coat he wore. He had no equipment and carried no clipboard, but I knew he had to be a doctor. I had hoped first he had some painkillers for my head. I hoped he'd come over to me, but instead he merely led the boy out of bed one out of the room. It was only about 3 hours later I realized something. I had been sleeping for 2 hours, as advised by the nurse, but the boy still hadn't come back. Bed one was empty. I was confused by this, but there was no reason to ask. I felt like death, and the nurse wasn't there. Instead, she was feeding the boy in the opposite me like a baby. 4 more hours, it was dark now, around 10 p.m. It was cold even though the nurses insisted that the heating was on. The lights were still blinding, and then the doctor returned. He noticed a girl sitting in the bed in bed 2, looking lightheaded and pale as snow. I can almost imagine the cold touch of her head. The doctor made a signal, one that said, "Follow me." The girl rose to her feet beside him, obviously unstable, yet he didn't help her. He left that to the nurses, as the ill girl was taken from the room. For 1 hour, I felt nervous and trapped in the nurse next to me on the shoulder. "Excuse me, but where did that boy go?" I asked politely. "Sorry, patient confidentially," she stated. She saw my disappointed face and leaned closer towards me. "Okay, but you can't tell the other nurses." I nodded as she began. The boy in bed 1, Taylor, was incredibly ill. He's been there for days and had not gotten better. The doctor decided he needed a 6 long-hour operation. Unfortunately, Taylor died within the 4th hour. I sighed and looked away. "What about the girl in bed 2? The nurse sighed, as if trying not to give out too much information, but again anyway. "Jessie was admitted yesterday. She was just gone for a checkup." I nodded. Now I understood and I grabbed my head in pain. "Are you okay? Would you like some morphine?" I was about to decline when the headache hit again. Without questioning, I nodded my head. I felt the scratch of the needle though on the skin of my arm. I minced in pain as I felt the needle had passed through my arm. I didn't know what time it was. I had been asleep apparently. The morphine had been more to me than tired. This late, the nurses didn't seem surprised. I noticed that bed 3 was empty, but had no strength to ask or get the nurse's attention. I felt weak, sleepy even. I recognized the doctor from long before, standing at the door, talking to a nurse, before approaching bed 4. Unlike the others, the boy disappeared from the ward, and everything seemed cold. I was the only child there. All the nurses were wandering aimlessly. That was until a boy reached the door and was helped into bed 6. For hours, I reached out for the nurses, but she either ignored me or didn't even notice. I was stronger than before, but still felt pretty weak. I had managed to sit up and notice bed 1 still empty, but the boy was dead. Bed 2, maybe the girl was discharged? What about bed 3 and 4? "Nurse!" I managed to call, and the same nurse who spoke to me earlier rushed to my side. "What happened to bed 3 and 4? The nurse said. 10 minutes. Wait 10 minutes, okay?" I frowned at the nurse, shaking a little. "I want to know what happened," I ordered. Danielle needed a scan. Philip needed to be put down. "Now don't talk to me after 10 minutes. The nurse walked off in a storm, leaving me confused. Taylor died on the operating table at bed 1. Bed 2, Jessie, went for a checkup and never came back. Danielle went for a scan and hadn't returned. And bed 3, 4, Philip was put to sleep. Wait, it's illegal to put people to sleep. I then sat up and realized. Then the doctor began walking to my bed and I wanted to scream. I tried, but my voice was dead. I was weak. I kicked and flailed, but felt another immense pain in my shoulder and soon into blackout. Beeping was my company as I forced my eyes open to a woman in a mask. I felt her holding my hand. My other was locked in place by my side, even though there was nothing to hold it there. There were machines and tools all around it, which scared me. There was a blinding light positioned to stare right back at my face. The woman's eyes were all I could see, and a soft hazel colored, and yet they had a hint green tint. "You're being so brave," said the woman. "Where am I?" "You're still here," the woman replied, and I could tell that she was smiling beneath her mask. "Why?" "We're going to make you better." "I only had a headache. I'm fine now." The woman laughed. "They all say that." I heard the door to my right open and swing shut. That's just a doctor. Don't move your head." I tried, but as stuck as my arm, I felt so confused. I wanted to pull away from her hand holding mine, but my hand was frozen in position, and the nurse kept staring directly at me. "I don't want this. You don't have permission," I said quickly, my voice shaking. The woman laughed again. "It doesn't work like that, sweetheart." "What are you gonna do?" I asked quickly. "First, we need to inject another dose of something. You'll feel a sharp scratch, but that's all." A sharp scratch, then way too much pain. I feel the liquid on my skin. I managed to pull my frozen hands into fists, as there was so much pain yet no scream. "You lied," I whispered in pain. The nurse didn't reply. Suddenly there was a sound of a machine. Something horrible that made my eardrums want to burst. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Don't worry, sweetheart. Just keep still and focus on me." "No, get off. What are you doing?" "I promise you won't feel a thing." I wanted to scream, but something stopped me. The horrible sound matched the agonizing pain to follow. Something was digging deep into my forearm, and every time I moved it slightly, agony filled me. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even cry. "What are you doing? Stop it! It hurts! What are you—" The pain was too much. I felt the limb detach. I felt liquid and I felt my fingers itching, even though they were no longer mine. It hurt my body. My body ached with the more effort to move, which failed no matter how many times I tried. "Don't worry, part 1 is nearly over." I felt the same pain now, but just above my knee and my left leg. "Stop! What kind of a hospital is this?" "This isn't a hospital, silly." The nurse laughed, and I heard the doctor join in a little. "Where am I?" "You're still here." I tilted my head back, but did nothing to the pain. I still wanted to scream, and I still wanted them to stop. I stared at the light in front of me, and finally, my voice released a petrified scream. "You're not here anymore," a voice whisper said. Then it hit me. Bed 1, Taylor died on the operating table. Bed 2, Jessie didn't get her checkup. Bed 3, Danielle never got a scan. And bed 4, Philip was put to sleep all right. I was in bed 5. Bed 6, the poor boy in bed 6, not much older maybe than 8. He was going to die. Die in a hospital where people were meant to be helped. Saved from being one thing from giving to us. Then again, this wasn't a hospital, although it may look like one, but it really wasn't. I didn't see the signs quick enough, especially the most obvious one. The doctor wasn't wearing a white coat. He was wearing a lab coat. Lily stared up from bed 1 into the dark ceiling. "Nurse!" A smiling nurse looked over. Lily frowned at the happy mood, but continued nevertheless. "What happened to the other people?" "I'm sorry, patient confidentially." "Please tell me," Lily said. The woman sighed and leaned in with a secretive smirk. "Fine, don't tell me the other nurses." Lily nodded quickly before leaning in towards her. "The boy in bed 1 before you died in an operation. The girl went after for a checkup. Danielle and Free got a scan. Philip had to be put down. Hannah was moved to a different ward." Lily looked across the room as the doctor called over a boy in bed 6. "Where was he going then?" The nurse was just frowning, half smiling. "Just wait 10 minutes, sweetheart." What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Ms. Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.